All right, guys, thanks for coming out today. Adam and I are putting on this precision nutrition seminar because we just took 4 month nutrition certification with Precision Nutrition, which is a company. And we had a textbook and had tests and quizzes and study materials because we want to be able to help you guys in every aspect that we can, not just in fitness and CrossFit and whatever, but we want to be able to give you nutritional advice. And I don't have a nutrition degree, so we found the next best thing that we could use to give you the best nutritional advice we could. What are we here to talk about? In general, we want to help you guys understand a different way to look at diet and nutrition. A way that we have found is the best way to look at it and that we think works the best. It's worked well in our lives and we want to share that with you. So in general, I'm going to start with some misconceptions of diet and weight loss. This was in our little promo video that Adam and I did, but long story short, look at 2 things. Misconception number 1, you have to pick a side. This may be our fault. When we start off, we were very CrossFit centered, so we're like, yeah, paleo, team paleo, no primal, no vegan, no whatever else is out there. But you don't need to pick a side per se, and we're gonna show you some other ways to look at it today. Misconception number 2, same idea kind of, there's a secret diet I'm missing. Maybe it's the Atkins diet, maybe it's the Mediterranean diet. We don't want to think about it as a diet. We want to look at more how you think about food, the relationship you have with food, and more behavioral type cues and things to change. So I have a handout for you guys that's kind of talking points of today. So I'm not going to go into a big depth on this. These are things we'll teach you later on if you choose to do the program that we're going to do, a little 6-month program. But I just want to give you guys some takeaway points today to kind of think about and you can start utilizing if you want to. So number 1, have a healthy relationship with food. You want to stop using words like diet and cheat meal. This leads to you start to do the diet and then you lose the weight and then you get it back and it's an endless cycle because it's a negative relationship with food. It's unhealthy and it'll repeat over and over and over again. Diet ends, weight comes back. Diet starts, weight goes away. So we want to try to avoid that vicious cycle. Point number 2. Diets also like socially isolate you if you think about it. So I have a little story here, but it's like, you go to the birthday party, who wants to go and not have cake? Because I'm on a diet. Nobody wants to do that. You're the weirdo in the corner and like, oh, they're trying to lose weight, making everyone else feel awkward for eating their cake. Enjoy your cake. Give yourself permission to have a treat meal. It should be a guilt-free reward. It shouldn't be a cheat meal, it's a treat. You earn that. You eat really well the entire week. You go to a birthday party, have a piece of cake. Do you have 6 pieces of cake? No. But you have 1, that's okay, all right? So diets are kind of a negative term in that sense that they kind of isolate you from social situations. I want you to start thinking about behavior as we go through this. So we want to set behavioral goals. For example, I'm gonna prepare 4 meals to eat for the next day each night. This is a behavioral thing. You do it or you don't. You have complete control over it. You saying, I'm gonna eat clean all week is not a measurable behavioral goal. It's easy to break, it's not well defined. Point number 4, eat more protein. This is just a general thing. The more protein you eat, the more full you're gonna feel. Long story short, protein's harder to process, so it results in more muscle mass and makes you burn calories at rest. So the more protein you're eating during the day, the more calories you're burning because your body's trying to process that protein. So that's just a little side point for you. Overall, we're trying to make good habits. If you miss a day, never waste time dwelling on the fact that you missed a day or you were going to prepare 4 meals and you prepared 3, all right? If you dwell on that, it's just going to be you dwelling on failure and instead focus on why you failed. Try to figure out, what didn't I do? How could I change it next time? Most likely, you may have failed for not being consistent. You were supposed to make 4 meals, you were consistent for 2 days, and you got lazy on day 3, tired on day 4. Consistency is key. So the biggest problem with staying consistent is trying to do too much too fast.
I'm gonna make 10 meals and I'll be prepared for the next month.
You gotta take it easy, okay? Stepwise steps to make the longer term goal seem simple. So, accountability is point number 2. If you're not consistent, or maybe you are consistent, but no one's holding you accountable. So if you don't make that fourth meal, nobody knows. So it kind of helps to have a partner or a coach that is checking in on you and seeing how you're doing. No one in this entire world is, one, always motivated to go to the gym or always motivated to go to be healthy and eat healthy. I don't want to work out every day. There's days where I'm like, oh man, but I have goals and I have things that I want to achieve, and I have accountability partners. They'll know. Isaac will know if I don't lift, you know? So it just helps if you have someone there to be accountable with you. If you cannot be consistent, you cannot make progress. Intermittent goal setting and achieving doesn't lead to goals. Day in, day out, steps at a time, that leads to progress. Maybe commit to less. That's kind of something I mentioned before, but setting big, lofty goals makes things seem unattainable and scary. Like that's why paleo kind of scares people. You're gonna eat grass-fed beef and you're going to eat vegetables all the time and no more carbs, and you gotta sleep 8 hours a night and you gotta drink this much water and no dairy. Whoa, calm down, one thing at a time, all right? So reduce the commitment of the goal until it feels easy for you. Then we can stepwise make the goal harder. This will set yourself up for success, okay? Where can you start today? I have a handout for you about understanding hunger cues. I'm gonna go over that briefly before Adam talks to you guys. So step number one, you can start to just understand hunger cues. Understand your body. If you truly know when you need to eat and how much you need to eat, that's really gonna help with portion control and just having again, healthier relationship with food in general. You see, food is food and not a emotional response or a social response, okay? Keep track of what you're eating. If you don't know what you're eating and we don't know what you're eating, we can't help you, all right? It just helps to become aware of what you're actually putting in your body. You could be surprised. I've been tracking my food lately and I'm like, oh, I thought I've been eating enough, I was kind of under eating a little bit, but take a big scoop of yogurt and eat that. I'm like, oh, that's about a cup. It was like a half a cup, so I'm eating like 10 grams less protein than I thought. So just keep track of what you're eating. You don't have to be crazy about it, but just have a general idea of how much food you're actually consuming. A big one that people don't really think about is getting your micronutrients in check. You can eat all the good foods you want, but if your micronutrients aren't in check, your body isn't able to process and utilize the food that you're eating. So, that Adam and myself, we sell multivitamins and fish oil and things like that because we want to get your micronutrients in check so that you can use your macronutrients, your protein, carbs, and fat. So plan to get an accountability partner. This could be a friend. We have a huge group of people here that are at the seminar. If you guys want to do this, partner up. You can help keep each other accountable and kind of push through when things get rough. And obviously us coaches are here for you 24/7. We wish the best for you, and that's why we're giving you this information, because we want you to succeed. So real quick, I'm going to go through the appetite awareness worksheets. You just ate a meal, it's breakfast. Let's say you just had some eggs and bacon and a cup of coffee, all right? You head off to work. So this is hour 0, immediately after. You might still feel a little hungry. It takes 15 to 20 minutes for hunger cues to set in. This is why we want you to eat slowly. If you shove a bunch of food in your mouth and then you're hungry and you keep shoving, all of a sudden you're like, whoa, it's too late, and you realize that you are way over full and you ate too much. So you should be a little bit hungry after you immediately eat. That's cool. Hour 1, you should still feel satisfied with no desire to eat another meal. So if it's been an hour after breakfast and you're hungry, you probably didn't eat enough. Again, this is the timeline to figure out how much you're eating and if you're eating enough or eating too much. Hour 2, you may start to feel a little hungry, like you can eat something, but it's not overwhelming. It's not like, I need food right now. It's just you're starting to digest and use that food, stomach's kind of getting a little empty, you're starting to feel a little bit hungry. Hour 3, so 3 to 4 hours after, you should feel like it's time for the next meal. It should be around a 7 of 8 out of 10, maybe more depending on like if you exercised or what you did earlier that day. But if you're not hungry by hour 3, you ate too much. If you are hungry, then you're right on track. If you were hungry at hour 2, probably didn't eat enough, okay? Hour 4, you're quite hungry. Like there's nothing getting between you and the kitchen. At this point, you probably waited too long, 4 more hours after breakfast, too long to eat, and now you're gonna make bad choices because there's RX bars in your bag and you're gonna have 7 of them, all right? So this is what we wanna avoid. We wanna avoid this. So we wanna understand your own personal hunger cues so that you can plan accordingly and eat enough so that around every 3 to 4 hours you're hungry and can eat a good meal. All right. Practice the how you feel timeline. Immediately after finishing a meal, 15 to 20 minutes, you can say my fullness cues are kicking in, I'm feeling good. It has every hour, and you can chart how you feel in those timelines. Based on this, you can kind of see, I'm not eating enough, I'm eating too much, and we can adjust it as we go. So I just wanted to give you guys something to take home today that you can start doing as a precursor to before we kick off this program. So when we do kick it off, if you choose to do it, you already kind of have that background knowledge of where you're at with your food intake. So where do we go from here? Obviously, I've given you guys some things to take home and to think about and to do, but Adam's going to talk a little bit more on this program that we're going to be having and some of his own thoughts and ideas that he's taken away from this certification that we've done.
Okay, good. Awesome, guys. It's really interesting. God, I hate
I'm
this.
Hans.
And I'm Franz.
And we are here to eat you healthy.
Eat you healthy.
America!
America!
They both touched my butt.
Going off the stuff that Lauren was saying there, guys, the certification, if I can, I can't tell you how much we got out of this. Like, this is not like just a weekendy thing. Like, this is a big deal. Motivation is always something in people's minds, like, hey, where does motivation come from? I read a story recently about a Jewish guy who had like 40 pounds to lose. He wanted to lose 40 pounds in 6 months. So he wrote a check and gave it to his friend, and the check was made out to the I'm gonna mess this up, but like the National Nazi Society of America or something like that. And he said, hey, for like $5,000, there's a ton of money. Okay, and he said that, hey, if I don't lose 40 pounds in 6 months, I need you to send this check to the National Nazi Party of whatever the heck. And he knew his friends would do it. He knew his friend would do it, and if he did it, his name, his very Jewish last name, would be posted in all these Nazi publications. And that was motivation for him to lose the weight and make it happen. My father got his knees replaced 2 years ago, both of them, and was diagnosed pre-diabetic. I don't know really the difference. And it's interesting because at that point, for all my life, I've known him to be somewhere between 230, 260 pounds. And he weighed in at his a physical this week at 199. And so that was the kick for him, because he was always a family guy, never put himself first, always put himself absolutely last, and now has finally put himself first and has gotten some fantastic results just by making these big lifestyle changes. So it's amazing where motivation kind of comes from. The reason that we're here, and the thing that we get asked all the time, my family asks me this, my friends ask me this, the people I teach with ask me this, they talk about, hey, what's the best diet? And we start in the 101. If you go through the CrossFit Roscoe 101, it's, hey, we do the paleo diet, and this is what you do, and da-da-da-da-da. And that's fine, that's great, it's really, really good. But like Lauren was saying, it's probably overwhelming. Okay, we're probably overwhelming people with the amount of changes that we're asking them to make all at one time. If you Google stuff, if you Amazon stuff, I cannot tell you how much stuff will come out, okay, in the way of the books and the videos and all the things that people are selling. There's a lot of nonsense out there. Okay, so when it comes to the best diet, is it paleo, is it zone, is it vegan, vegetarian, is it, intermediate fasting, Mediterranean, whatever. We find that that's the wrong question. Okay, I don't know about you, but I know some fit vegans. Okay, I know some fit people who have done the paleo diet. I know fit people who have done the zone. I know fit people who don't even think about what they eat, and I hate them. Journal of American Medical Association back in 2013 did a study in which they looked at every single diet that they could come up with. High carb, high fat, low fat, and they had some people try this diet, and some people tried this diet, and some people tried this diet, some people tried this diet. They're going to then analyze who lost the most weight, whose metabolic markers, changed, or metabolic risk factors changed in the best way, and we would settle the diet debate. We'd have one diet that'd be the best. And they came up with nothing but inconsistent results. Okay, there's not one thing that they came up with where like, yes, paleo diet won, or yes, Mediterranean diet won, or hey, vegetarian's the way to go. It came up with absolutely nothing. They lost basically about the same weight. Like it was, very, very close amounts of same way, and the metabolic risk factors improved about the same. Okay, it was very even, which is funny because you would think that with all the diet debate that's out there that one would pop out over the other ones. In 2014, they did meta-analysis. They did four major meta-analysis. Meta-analysis is where they take these research studies and put them together and then compare them. So it's not just one little research study, it's lots of research studies. So these four major meta-analysis combined almost 90 total results. They looked at everything that made people successful, made them lose weight, made their metabolic risk factors, improve, et cetera, et cetera. They looked at everything, and there was one thing that came out to actually mean something, okay, and that was adherence, okay, which is just the idea of being consistent. So that means that you were given a plan and you stuck with the plan, and that's it. And then you stop doing it, that's the plan that doesn't work. The plan where you're able to stay with it, that's the one that ended up working, which is interesting because if you follow low carb or high carb, you both got great results. Okay, so what's the common theme there? Okay, and then why does that even matter? And the thing that's frustrating for nutrition people, and I think I'm a nutrition person, is that nutrition might not be about the food. Because if you get great results on a high carb diet, and you get results on a high fat diet, and you get great results on a high protein diet, then what are we even arguing about? Like, there's no argument. If you look at some of the hunter-gatherer tribes, like not of like hundreds of years ago, but like of right now, okay, the Inuit of the Arctic eat a whole lot of fat. They eat very little vegetation. There's not much vegetation going on, way up north. Okay, the Catawbans of the South Pacific eat a ton of sweet potato and yams, eat a diet very high in carbs. However, they're both healthy people, or they're both relatively healthy tribes. They stick to these traditional diets. They don't have the risk factors that we see within the U.S. with the stroke, diabetes, inflammatory obesity, etc. But wildly different diets with very similar health outcomes, which is very interesting to me. Wildly different diets. It just means that the human body is extremely adaptable. Okay, no matter what you throw at it, okay, it adapts. I don't know, have you guys seen the documentary Supersize Me? Supersize, anyone? 3 of you? 4 of you? Relax. When he first started, was feeling awful. First week was awful. Second week was awful. Okay, by the end of it, not that he was feeling good, but he wasn't feeling that bad. Like, he really wasn't. He was kind of adapting to this McDonald's diet, and not that it wasn't bad, but it wasn't as bad. Going back to this, again, what's the best diet? We're going back to the idea that, hey, there is no best diet. And we know fit paleo people, we know fit zone people, et cetera, et cetera. So the thought is that these diets might have more in common than what they have different. They might be more similar than what they are different. So there's no need to jump into a diet camp and say, this is the way to go, this is how you have to eat. You eat that dairy, you're a bad person. No, that's gone. It doesn't matter. Okay. The big thing is that you have to adhere to something. Okay. If there's something that I really got out of it, and the precision nutrition kind of pushed me towards it, but I recently read the book, The Power of Less by Lee Babada. It looks at if you're going to change habits. Now you guys have habits that have, started, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years of habits that you have in you right now. That you just do things naturally because that's how you are, that's how you're wired up, that's how you've done things for a really long time. If you go to change a habit, and you do this in a nice way, there's about an 85% chance of you fixing what you're doing. Okay? If you try to change 2 habits at the same time, it drops down to about 35% chance of changing what you're doing. If you change 3 habits all at the same time, there's a less than 10% chance of it working out. So if you say, hey, I'm going to wake up at 4:30 in the morning, I'm going to hit the 5 o'clock CrossFit class, I'm going to drink my kale smoothie. And these are 3 things you've never done ever in your life, you have a less than 10% chance of succeeding. The thing that we want to look at, okay, is that we like the idea of limiting factor. Okay, what is the biggest thing in your world that is screwing you up right now? With most people, it's nutritional or some type of nutrient deficiency. It could be an omega-3 deficiency. It could be a protein deficiency. It could be dehydration. Okay. Again, all those things with Tammy are great. If we fixed all those things, it'd be fantastic, but she would still be feeling awful if you don't take care of the Lyme's disease. That's priority number 1. Okay, my wife was anemic back when we were in our 20s, and so she went to the doctor, and the doctor's like, well, you can eat more spinach, and you can eat more red meat, and that's great, and or you can take this iron supplement. My wife wasn't a huge meat eater, and spinach, yeah, we ate, but so she wanted, she opted for the pill. So we want to fix the physiology first, okay? If there is something in your body that's not running, and Lauren touched on this earlier, if there's something in your body that's not running on all cylinders, you're going to feel like crap until you get that fixed. Okay, if you're dehydrated, I don't care what you do. I don't care how many times a week you work out. I don't care how clean you eat. If you're running on a constant state of dehydration, you're in trouble. Okay, if you are eating too little protein for who you are and what you're doing, you're gonna feel like garbage until you get this fixed. Okay, and that's why the multivitamin and the fish oil are such a big thing for us. So if we're going to do this strategic intervention with people, the first thing we're going to start with is getting rid of these nutritional deficiencies. Okay, that's where most people are. Now, if you want to get $400 worth of blood work done, and we can get a little bit more specific with that, we can. But if not, it doesn't really hurt just to take a multi for a month with some fish oil and see how you feel after 4 weeks. Okay, because now all of a sudden, if your body's running on all cylinders, life is probably pretty okay. That would be step one for us. Now here's the thing, you have to get good at again, power of less here, one habit at a time, of taking care of your business and taking this multi and the fish oil, every single day and being consistent. Okay, turning it into a habit. Okay, if you don't turn it into a habit, life is bad. The second thing then that we look at is we look at meal timing, and Lauren talked about this too. Hunger cues set in after about 20 minutes. Okay, if you eat your breakfast in 6 minutes, it's probably not a good thing. Okay. We want you to take 20 minutes in which to eat. Now, power of less here, if you are currently taking 3 minutes in which to eat your breakfast, your next step is 5 minutes. Okay, you don't jump from 3 minutes to 20 minutes. Just like, I want to work on getting up earlier in the morning. Well, what time do you get up right now? 8 o'clock. What time do you want to get up? 5. Okay, you don't go from 8 to 5. You go from 8 to 7:45. You get really good at 7:45. And once you get really good at 7:45, now you wake up at 7:30. Once you get really good at 7:30, now you wake up at 7:15, okay? And you turn these, strategic practices into habits, and then it becomes easy. To get you up to, going back to the meal timing thing, 20 minutes for you in which to consume a meal. It's a healthy thing to do. It aids in digestion. You'll eat less food because after 20 minutes, you'll be like, I'm not so hungry anymore. And then the third thing, guys, is food amount. Okay. At that point, we'll actually start looking at the amount of protein, the amount of fat, the amount of vegetable, the amount of carb that you're eating. Okay. The biggest thing that we're looking to do, okay, is the change psychology that you have going on within your habits that you have formed over 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 years of your life. Okay. If you don't fix that, if you don't change those habits, you just keep doing what you're doing because that's what you've known to do, changes really don't happen. Okay. Here's the thought. The bottom line is, if you've heard nothing today, even that part earlier when I said if you've heard nothing today and you still didn't listen, here's the thought, is that everybody needs a coach. Okay. All the coaching staff here across at Roscoe coaches each other. Okay, we go outside of this building in which to get other coaching from other places. Okay, whether it be movement coaching or nutrition coaching. Okay, you need somebody who will listen to your needs, okay, and listen to what you want to accomplish, so how you live and what is important to you in your life. Okay, that has to be established. You can't just read, well, you could, but we don't recommend that you just read a book and do what the book says. You need somebody that is there to help you create a dietary approach that's strategic for you in your situation, because everybody's a little bit different. Okay, and really that's what coaching really is. And we're in this game here to get results, and that's really the only thing that matters. And you're all different, and you all have different habits. Okay, all things that might need to get tweaked or changed just a little bit. Some of you more than others. Okay, this is why we don't have a diet philosophy. This is why we don't say, hey, paleo is the only way to go. If you don't go paleo, sad for you. Okay. But to actually have a personal coaching process. It's not the same thing. Because we understand that you guys are different, and you guys have different families, different life demands, different stress levels, different work situations. Some of you can cook, some of you can't cook. Some of you are extremely busy, some of you are a little less busy. Some of you can work out 6 days a week, some of you can only work out 2 days a week, or 1 day a week. And it's not as easy just to say eat paleo or eat like a caveman or eat this way or eat this zone or eat like it says in this book. Because we don't believe that's sane nor rational. Okay. And what our thought is once you change the habits, whatever habits you have that are leading you to where you are right now, once you change those strategically, one by one, that's really the only thing that works in the long run. And everything else ends up just kind of being gimmicky and silly. Thanks for listening.
I saw the captain, he said to me, and to everybody, it's time to find your seat. We will be leaving soon, so say goodbye to friends, family.